there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a book review for Thirsty Ground by Kimber St. Thirsty Ground is a new YA sci-fi book. It is being released in May 2025. I was lucky enough to receive an advanced reader copy from the publisher, so thank you so much for allowing me to read and review this book. This is a new to me author and it is a debut book. But before we go ahead and get on into the review, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, as well as giving this video a like to throw my channel a little bit of support. Also, if you are interested in pre-ordering Thirsty Ground, check in the description box below for links to my Amazon storefront. In Thirsty Ground, we are following a futuristic type world, and most of humanity has left Earth because the water was depleted, and 1% of Earth's population left on this arc-type vessel known as Tsimmaon, translated Thirsty Ground. They have been looking for water or a new planet to colonize for the last 130 years. There is an elite group of people known as hydroseekers that go on these missions looking for potential water. We are following Conway. Conway is a teenager and he is in training to be a hydroseeker. He is the favored one. He is incredibly talented at what he does. One day the hydroseekers and those who are in training go to the arid planet and they are looking for water. And Brooks told Conway last time he was there that he thought he saw a tree, and a tree means water. And when they get onto this planet, lo and behold, they discover a tree and they discovered that people are living on the arid planet. This civilization on the arid planet is called Mayanah, and the leader's name is Saleh. And what Conway learns is that the water on the arid planet can be poisonous or can be nutritious depending on Saleh. So there is one person that controls the water, and there is some fantastical elements that are wrapped into this. When Conway is on the arid planet, he ends up having an accident and he is forced to dwell amongst the people of Mayanah. And while he's doing that, he learns all of the secrets of the arid planet, the civilization, and exactly what happened 130 years ago and went into space. He learns that there are secrets, conspiracies, and threats against Mayanah now that everyone has learned that water is viable on this planet. Starting with the things that I like, I actually really liked the voice that the author used to write this story. I haven't read a book that was from the perspective of a male character in a long time. For some reason, YA books tend to be female dominated. It is first person point of view, and I think that the author made a good choice in using first person based on what happens to our main character. Our main character is definitely snarky and he's very sarcastic. He reminds me a lot of Jace from The Mortal Instruments, and he has a lot of growth over the course of the book and will continue as the series progresses. And he starts out as very arrogant and incredibly ignorant, and his life experiences force him to mature, and what he learns causes him to lose all of his innocence he had surrounding what he thought he knew. I also like the premise of water disappearing on a planet and people having to leave to search for water. And I'm pretty sure that the arid planet is Earth. I couldn't really figure out if it was Earth. I'm assuming it's Earth because it talks about, the planet having one moon, and at one point the word Earth was used, but they kept referring to it as the arid planet, but I think it's Earth. But it makes you question, what if such a crucial resource was scarce? What would happen if we had excessive droughts and people couldn't access water? How would that change our society? What would it look like? Would we have to go into space to search for other planets? So it really took a issue that is incredibly viable and expanded onto the what if, and I really enjoyed the premise. Made me think. We did have a sort of fantasy element regarding how the water is distributed in Mayanah. So we have our main character named Saleh, and she is known as a conduit, and she is the only one that can turn the water from poisonous into drinkable for the people of her society. And that was never really explained how or why that happens. Is there a scientific reason surrounding it, which that was touched on in the book, or is it fantastical? So I'm hoping that the author really delves some more into how Saleh has this ability and the science behind it. Is it a mutation? Is it antibodies towards bacteria in the water that could harm you? So I'm really looking forward to expansion on that idea. I also really liked how the author portrayed futuristic elements. This is a book, obviously, where they are on a spaceship and they have to survive on this spaceship. So the author had to incorporate things that you would expect in the future on a spaceship. And I thought she did a really good job with that, especially regarding how they create people and how they take the genetics from the people on this ark to create new human beings and how they are related to one another. We also have some apocalyptic type elements in the story, which I wasn't expecting, but I love apocalyptic type elements. So there was a couple of scenes where Conway and Saleh had to leave Mayanah, this community, and travel out into the arid planet. And I really loved how it was described, just the destruction and just this complete wasteland. And then we do get little settlements along the way, and we get introduced to new characters and kind of touches briefly on how they survive. Going on into the things that I didn't like so much, like I already explained about Saleh being a conduit, if it is a fantasy element and not explained through science, I think that will weaken the story because it actually took me a little while reading the book to kind of understand how it worked because you have a chalice, which is basically this tree with water around it, is the way I understood it, and Saleh, who can touch the water and give the water, and it's no longer poisonous. So it took me little while to understand exactly how that process worked. I also question the author's choice in using motorcycles for these characters to travel. Whenever our new hydroseekers visit a new planet or a moon or whatever, and they're looking for water, they ride on these motorcycle type vehicles. And for me, I'm thinking, okay, we're in the future. I feel like we could have developed way better modes of transportation than riding motorcycles across terrain that is probably incredibly rocky, dusty, dangerous. There's no roads, there's nothing that's paved, no asphalt. It just didn't seem very effective to me. And if they're bringing back samples and things and would need to bring equipment, I don't understand why they would ride on motorcycles, but motorcycles are incredibly prevalent in this story. And then I felt like there were too many antagonists. And what I mean by that is we have our antagonists that are on Tsimmaon, the spaceship. We have antagonists that are in Mayanah. There is a character that does not like Conway, does not trust him. And then we also have these characters that are known as unclean. Whenever you drink the water and Saleh has not freely given it, meaning that it's not purified water because she's the conduit, you turn into these unclean, and they are like zombie-like beings that will eat your face. And I'm growing less and less patient with zombie-like stories, and I felt like there could have been a storyline where you have Mayanah, the civilization on the arid planet, literally having a conflict with Tsimmaon and all of that, and completely left out the unclean. I didn't connect with it. I didn't like it. I think that the story would have been fine without it, and she could have maybe incorporated different things that didn't involve zombie-like beings. That's just my opinion. I also felt like the romance felt a little bit forced, and I feel like this is going to be a series because it did end on a kind of cliffhanger, or it did end on a cliffhanger. And I feel like what the author should have done is she should have started to develop the romance in this book and then continued it into the second book and so on and so forth. But the main characters are like fully in love by the end of this book, and it was just too fast. It should have been way more slow burn as they got to know each other and went through all these trials together. It would have been way more believable. And then I just wanted to make a comment on two things. The first one is disability rep in this book. According to the author's note that I read, some of these ideas and events were drawn from events in her own life, so I definitely can commend her for that. And then we do get a shift in point of view at the end of the book from Conway to Saleh. And I really liked that because I felt like if we continue on with the series, we will have dual plot lines, one with Saleh's point of view and one with Conway's point of view. And I think that that will bring some depth and interest to the story. All in all, Thirsty Ground was a really enjoyable read for me. I found myself wanting to pick up this book and keep reading to find out what happened. Yes, there were things that I didn't like about it. I keep having to remind myself that it is a YA book. The word count has to be a certain amount. I just felt like this book could have been a little bit longer, a little bit more fleshed out, but it is a YA book. I really liked the world. I really liked the characters, the sci-fi, all of it together. I'm really looking forward to continuing this series, and I was pleasantly surprised with how much I liked it. I ended up giving Thirsty Ground 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, you guys, that is it for my review of Thirsty Ground by Kimber St. Lawrence. Let me know in the comments if this is a book that you would plan on reading, and I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!